Let's call the meeting to order at 6:31. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have the roll call, please, Julie?
Jim Drolet.
Here.
Jan Gaffney.
Here.
Tim Holcomb.
Here.
Allison McFadden-Kiesling.
Here.
Nancy Moon.
Here.
Alan Panter.
Here.
Maggie Sands.
Here.
Julie Meredith here.
Oh, we're all here. May I have a motion, please, to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Oh, I'll second. Did you get it, Nicole?
Tim was first, so then Jan seconded.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion carried. Call to the public. We have any public? No public. Okay, we'll just keep going. Consent agenda. Any questions, comments? Anybody? If there are no questions, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion carried. Linda, how about a Friends of the Library report?
In the April book sale, Henry Wallison donated money for children to get a bag of books on the last day for $5. We were so successful with that, we only had 2 boxes left of children's books. So because of that, we do not have enough inventory to run the children's book sale in June. So we'll just continue on and have the next one in September. That would be a full book sale. And I see in the back room, we got a lot of books that were donated, so that'll keep us going for the fall.
Good plan. Yeah.
Who did you say it was that?
Henry Willison, he's a big provider
Okay,
for the Friends of the Library, does a lot of donations.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Does,
Nice to have someone like that.
does it have a big impact on your bottom line?
No, not so much.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Linda.
Mhm.
Library statistics.
Um, No bill tonight, but the statistic that he pointed out at our all-staff meeting the other day, that he thought was interesting was the jump in information questions. And he attributes that to our new tracking system. He feels that we are giving ourselves better credit for the questions that we've been answering all along. We have a new, much easier tallying system that is on everyone's computer. So you can answer a question from anywhere and just do a little click and indicate the kinds of questions that they are. So that's been a really successful program. So,
That's wonderful.
and that was created by one of our employees. So that was very cool.
Terrific. Any questions, comments, anyone? Okay.
So does that replace Tally? Is that decommissioned then?
Yep.
Nice.
He came up with, well, it's very similar to the old one, but this one's a little broken down a little bit more so that you're just getting the full questions, but we are able to look at the types of questions.
Okay.
And we're also, we put it on all the computers in the building because we weren't really keeping a good count of people who were answering phone questions in the back of the building. Only the people that were answering questions either at the circulation desk or on the information desk, and quite a lot of those calls are answered in the back. So now we're giving credit for all of those, whether they're basic directional sorts of questions or whether they're media information questions, and it's helping us to make some, take some better data in terms of when to schedule people and things like that. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Have we gotten any questions or comments about our new website?
Feedback has been pretty positive. We have found some little glitchy things that we've been fixing along the way, but that's kind of the way it goes. But yeah, the feedback has been really positive. I think it was different enough that people noticed that something was different, but they noticed it in a good way, because the last time we changed our website, it was a night and day difference, and everybody's like, oh, you changed it, we can't find anything. But now they're like, oh, this is better. They seem to be drawn into it, so that's been nice.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, I guess now we're ready for the director's report.
So under We Are a Community Collaborator, each year CIDL participates in our local 4th of July parade. We will use this high visibility event to promote our Dinosaur into Summer reading program. Dave and Marion Barron graciously drive their beautiful vintage white Corvette as the centerpiece of our entry, and the Friends of the Library have provided candy and bookmarks for us to give away and t-shirts for us to wear. We will, of course, also incorporate patriotic elements, and you can see the little picture on the report. We have found a patriotic dinosaur that we think we are going to be putting in the cute. Yes, very cute. So, if anybody would like to help us out by wearing that costume, you would be more than welcome. I think we have somebody.
I was going to say in the middle of July.
I think we have somebody tapped for it, though. As part of the local America 250 celebration, the library will be hosting a showing of the musical 1776. Light refreshments and popcorn will be served, and there will be a chance to win a patriotic prize basket courtesy of the David W. Elliott Foundation. And you can join us for that on Tuesday, June 30th from 6 to 8 p.m. here in our community meeting room. Under We Are a Go-To Place for Learning and Resources, keeping with our Dinosaur into Summer program theme, the library will be hosting a dino adoption hunt for all ages in June and July. Every Monday, we will be hiding 10 to 15 eggs throughout the library for the week. Patrons who find the eggs will be asked to bring them to the information desk to get a dino adoption certificate. We will announce when all of the eggs have been found for the week and tell our dino hunters to try again next week. When asked by an adult if it is really okay to take an egg, staff have been instructed to respond, yes, of course, join the fun and adopt a dino. So you can see our little dino eggs there. We have some dinosaur pins this year, which is new. And then we have a fabulous pterodactyl that was created by the staff, so please be sure to go out and take a look at our pterodactyl.
That looks great.
Once again, CIDL will be hosting our annual 3D printed derby. Program participants will create their own 3D printed cars for a derby track competition. The program will begin June 25th, featuring design sessions every Thursday afternoon until July 30th. Culminating in race day is scheduled for Saturday, August 22nd. This program is intended for ages 10 and up and is centered on the use of Tinkercad platform. The first session will serve as a tutorial for new beginners and is mandatory to participate. So we want to encourage people to sign up for that. Also, new this year, due to the high demand, there will be 2 sessions of our popular Blind Date with a Book program this summer. Library card holders who are 18 plus may sign up for a book date with hand-selected materials based on what they like to read. Each date will contain 2 books chosen by a librarian and some extra goodies. To sign up, fill out a form letting the librarian know what you like to read, wait for the email saying your book date is ready, and pick up your book date from the information desk to enjoy. From our We Are a Vital Organization. As approved by the library board at the May meeting, we are in the process of selecting and hiring a full-time collaborations librarian. The selection committee consists of David Silberman, head of adult services, Stacia Serafin, head of youth and teen services, Molly Weiner, our school and outreach coordinator, and Julie Meredith, of course, myself. The committee reviewed the applicants, narrowed the field to the top 3 candidates, and conducted initial interviews last week. And we are determining next steps in the process and hope to select someone for the position in the next week or so. And then lastly, the library has been working with Deputy Adam Kammer of the Oakland County Sheriff's Department to provide active assailant training for the library staff. 3 sessions in June, July, and August have been scheduled. The first session has taken place, and staff feedback about how this important content was presented and discussed was quite positive. It has been suggested that we also schedule a 4th session that would specifically be a tour of workspaces with Deputy Kammer to have a more in-depth conversation about safety strategies after staff had had a little time to digest the information in the classroom portion of the training. So we are talking with the deputy about setting that up for later in the summer.
Perfect. Any questions or comments, anyone?
Nope.
I'm sorry. Okay, regular business. We get through our stack of paper here. Julie, do you want to introduce our audit?
Hello, Eiley Tomlinson is here from Maynard Casterison to go over our 2025 audit. The report is in your packet, and she did hand out a letter for you as well that's in each of your spaces.
Perfect. Well, thank you everyone for having me. Again, my name is Eiley. I'm here from Maynard Casterison, to present the library's December 31st, 2025 audited financial statements. So my plan is just to kind of go through some of the key financial information. Really no significant changes compared to the previous fiscal year, but I will touch on a couple additional note disclosures that were included in 2025. So if there's questions at any time, feel free to interrupt me. But before I start, I just wanted to have a big thank you to Julie and Nicole for all of their help. I think everything went really smoothly again with the audit this year. So we use a hybrid approach where we request everything on our portal, and then I came out one day and did some physical on-site testing, and everything was in great shape. So we certainly appreciate all of your efforts and kind of making it a little bit easier on us. So with that, we'll start with the bound audited financial statements, and we'll start on page 1, which is titled the Independent Auditor's Report. So these first couple of pages really just describe what the purpose of an audit is, and that is for us to issue an opinion on the fair presentation of the library's financial statements in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. An audit is not designed to detect fraud, and we don't issue an opinion on the internal controls of the library. But that being said, a very significant component of our audit does include going through and documenting all of the processes and procedures and internal controls that are in place at the library. So we go through and look at everything from how payroll is run to deposits being made, your bank reconciliations, your receipts, and then we'll actually select a handful of transactions throughout the fiscal year, and we'll walk them through all of those documented processes and procedures. And if we had had any findings or recommendations that we felt needed to be communicated to the board, we would have issued that in our management letter. We did not have any such findings related to things of internal controls in nature. Like I said, though we don't look at 100% of all of the transactions, everything that we did look at was doing what you said that it was supposed to be doing. So no changes from the previous fiscal year. The library is receiving an unmodified or clean opinion. That's the best that you can attain, so it's what you as a board want to see, and then also what the state of Michigan looks for once the financials are uploaded to Treasury's website. And that's documented in that second paragraph, that very first statement. So again, overall, very clean, no significant changes compared to the last year. So with that, we'll go ahead and turn to page 8. So I'll just kind of briefly touch on pages 8 and 9. So these first two financial statements are the government-wide financial statements for the library. And these are shown on the full accrual basis of accounting. And really what that means is that it includes not only the activity for the general fund, which is the library's sole operating fund, but it also includes the long-term activity. So your capital assets and your compensated absences, for example, those are not recorded within the fund. So for my presentation purposes tonight, we'll focus a little bit more on the general fund itself, because that was really what represents the current activity for the fiscal year. So with that, we'll turn to page 10, which is the library's balance sheet. And so how I like to describe this statement is that it's really as of a picture in time. So as of December 31st, 2025, we have our total assets compared to our total liabilities, resulting in our fund balance. So for example, if the library were to have ceased existence, closed its operations down as of December 31st, you would not have had any issues paying those financial obligations, your total liabilities, off with the current assets that you have on hand. So we had total assets of the year, just over $6 million, compared to about $58,000 in total liabilities. And then we also have the deferred inflows of resources, which is related to the timing of the property taxes for the library. So Again, a couple metrics that we look at. Number one is that current ratio, so your total current assets compared to your total liabilities. And again, you can exceed that your assets significantly outweigh those obligations as of 12/31. And then another item we look at is the ratio of your unassigned fund balance, which is that $626,000 figure, the bottom of the page, compared to your total operating expenditures for the year. And so what that amount of unassigned fund balance represents is what the library has available today to cover expenditures in future periods. So in any given year, let's say your revenues don't exceed your expenditures, that fund balance is that cushion that will then absorb that loss. And so kind of a general recommendation that we make to our clients is to have an amount in that fund balance category of unassigned that's between 15 and 20% of your annual operating expenditures. And what that would represent is, should the library ever run into any collection issues, so getting your property taxes, you would still be able to pay your employees, keep the lights on, operate as normal for a period of time. And so for 2025, the library was at 24.2%. So you're just above that recommended threshold. And we'll talk about the addition to fund balance when we look at the budgetary statement. But again, very strong from a balance sheet perspective, and another overall very healthy year for the library. So then with that, I'll just briefly touch on a couple of the note disclosures. So the notes begin on page 14, but I'm actually going to have everybody turn to page 28. Or excuse me, page 24. Apologies. So starting on page 24, note number 8 just talks about a couple new accounting pronouncements that will be implemented in future periods. So we have GASB number 103, and then if we turn the page, we also have number 104 and 105. So we'll take a look as we get a little bit closer to our 2026 fiscal year end, if there are any material changes that any of these statements will impact the library's financials, and then implement them accordingly. And so that kind of then touches on note 9, which was a new disclosure, change in accounting principle that was implemented in 2025. So the library did implement GASB statement number 102 regarding certain risk disclosures. We evaluated all of the activity that was potentially involved in that statement. However, it did not have a material impact to the library, so there were no changes to any of the financial statements. So this is very similar to GASB 96 that we've implemented last year for subscription-based information technology, and then also 87 in the year before regarding leases. So this statement will come off in 26, but it's essentially saying that we've evaluated everything, however, it didn't impact the financials of the library in any way. So then the last statement to touch on is on page 27. It's our budgetary comparison schedule for the general fund. So the first two columns are the budgets that are adopted by the board. So the original budget that's adopted at the beginning of the year, and then followed by our final budget, which was after any and all amendments were made. And then we actually compare what your final budget amounts were to what actually happened. So total revenues, just shy of about $3 million in 2025. That was an increase of about $189,000 compared to 2024. Total revenues last year were about $2.7 million compared to that $2.95. And looking at the makeup of your revenues, you see your property taxes account for about 90.9% of total revenues, And so as property values continue to rise, so does the amount of income that the library is receiving. And then looking at our total expenditures for the year, those also increased by about $212,000 compared to 2024. And really where we saw that increase was in your personnel and then payroll taxes and benefits, which those account for about 52% of your total expenditures. And as a service-based organization, that's where we would anticipate seeing the majority of your operating expenditures. So the results of the year was an increase to fund balance of about $361,000. So it went from about $2.8 million at the beginning of the year to $3.2 million at the end of the fiscal year. And compared to last year, you also had an increase of about $384,000. So over the last 2 fiscal years, you've added a very significant chunk to that total fund balance. And then again, as we discussed before, not all of that is available for general operating expenditures, but you still have right above that recommended threshold. So overall, very strong again from an income and balance sheet perspective. So then the last 2 items to talk about are the 2 letters that were also issued with the financial statements. The first is our final board communication letter. This is just a standard boilerplate disclosure that we are required to provide to board members at the conclusion of the audit. And so a couple things that this documents. Number one, about right in the middle of that letter, it talks about implementing GASB 102. So anytime we have a new standard that's implemented, that is disclosed here. And then at the bottom of the page, it also discloses the significant estimates that go into preparing the financials for the library. So for example, the calculation for depreciation expense is based on an estimate of all of the useful lives of all of the assets that the library possesses. So because we've deemed that to be significant, that's disclosed here, as well as your investments being carried at fair value, and then also the calculation for your compensated absence liability. And so then if you turn the page, the next that documents is under the corrected and uncorrected misstatements. So we did have one material journal entry that was recorded in the 2025 audit. So that was disclosed here. That was just to adjust the property taxes to actual. And then that ties into the next letter. So we had just one repeat comment from last year regarding that material journal entry. But as I mentioned before, no other issues related to internal controls. There were no other recommendations or findings that we felt needed to be communicated to the board. So again, overall, a very clean audit, no issues on our end, no disagreements with management. So that's all I have, but I'm happy to stick around for any questions.
Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Great job, Heidi. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, I guess the next step is we need a motion to approve the library audit as presented.
I move that we accept the library audit as presented.
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the library audit as presented. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Riley.
Staffing committee, Julie, do you want to continue?
Sure. So at the May Library Board meeting, the board approved the library director to post a full-time collaborations librarian and hire a candidate to fill the position. In the past, the library board has approved the posting of full-time positions and appointed candidates as selected by the library director and the staff. The library board proposed moving that authority to the library director as long as the staffing changes remain within the approved budget. The staffing committee was charged with determining the details and documentation of this change to procedure. The staffing committee met to discuss the issue and are in the process of drafting documents that include an updated library director's job description that more clearly defines these tasks and authority, including some adjustments to budgeting strategies to assure that there is adequate flexibility to accommodate reasonable staffing changes during the year. This clarification of responsibilities will work in tandem with an update to the library board bylaws and a board responsibilities and conflict of interest policy that the library board president and library director are working with the library's attorney on. These documents will come to the library board to review in the coming months. So I just wanted to take a minute to update and say that it's in process.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, anybody? Okay, our last item is announcement of the Governor's Award.
So on May 1st, which I mentioned at the last meeting, the Clarkston Historic District's resurvey project received a Governor's Award for Historic Preservation from the State Historic Preservation Office, known as SHPO. In a ceremony held at Heritage Hall in Michigan State Capitol, the Resurvey Committee, the City of Clarkston, and the Clarkston Independence District Library each received a framed award recognizing the citizen-led efforts to better document, preserve, and inspire others to embrace the historic buildings within our community. So we are going to do a local celebration. Clarkston Independence District Library will host this local celebration of this award on Friday, June 26th at 4 p.m. in this community meeting room. The program will include representatives from SHPO, the Preservation Architect of Oakland County, and others, both in person and through a video being created by Independence Television to help us commemorate this important achievement, and we invite the community to join us for this celebration. And the invitation is in the packet. We're very excited to celebrate this.
Wonderful. Well deserved.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
Nope.
Well, I think it's 7 o'clock and time to go home.
Wow.
May I have a motion, please, to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those who disapprove, please say nay. We are ready to leave at 7 o'clock.
Nice job. Right. Cool.